Welcome to Purposeful Living with Cynthia Van Warmer, where we slow down long enough to see what's really happening and take our power back without losing our grace. Hi, welcome to Purposeful Living with Cynthia Van Warmer and my friend, Marc Hildebrand. Welcome back,
Yes.
Marc.
I am super pumped. You ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's go. So today we're talking about something that is near and dear to a lot of people. But when I think of this whole topic, I think of you because we're talking about your why again, but not just your why, when you forget your why. Now, I do want to spend a little bit of time in terms of like, what does it actually mean to lose your why? But I also want to see if like you can share why sometimes in the day-to-day we lose track of the why. So what comes up for you when you hear that?
The whirlwind of life, cooking dinner, going to work, that travel, that commute back and forth. You know, it takes time, right? And then if you have children, you have to take care of the children, take care of the dog. There's a lot of different things that we deal with every single day that gets us spiraling, right? Where the brain is just concentrating on, okay, you got to make dinner. Okay, you got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do all of these things before you go to bed, right? It's just life. You know, it's that 50% of life that really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would have to say the whirlwind of life, you know, gets us off track.
Mm.
But if we can become aware and take control, because you know what, we have control. We can control the things we can control. And sometimes we can even influence the things we can't control.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So friend, what is the cost of losing your why and staying disconnected from it?
I would have to say the biggest thing I've noticed is energy and motivation. Because you have no why, right? So you have nothing to drive you to do those things that you want to do. Energy. And can I say one thing to the audience? It takes the same amount of energy no matter what path you take. So I have found that using that energy and focusing on my why, just, oh my God, I am like on fire. You'll hear Marc say, she's on fire. Let's go. So energy, it costs energy. And then when we're spiraling and we're just doing without the why, without the purpose, where's the joy in that? Is there joy? Is your life fulfilled? The purpose is quietly sitting back here, right? Relationships. Because we're too busy. We're too busy in the whirlwind of life and spiraling to slow down and have those relationships, have those meaningful conversations, living on autopilot. And eventually, emotional numbness. And what do I mean by that? Remember in one of my previous episodes when I was talking about exhaustion, right? And what that costs us. We just get numb. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. The why is like, it's here, but it's not present.
So what do you think shifts? Like, what do you think shifts like the moment that we realized or recognized that we actually have drifted?
Awareness. And you know, I'm huge on awareness. Once we're aware, let's go. Slowing down, right? Because I just talked about the whirlwind. We slow down, right? We become aware. And then we reflect. Reflection is huge. It's a huge part of my everyday. I get curious with my brain. And I've said it a lot, but I talk to myself. I talk to my brain. I talk out loud. I verbalize out loud so the brain can hear it. Asking better questions to me. And grace Grace isn't guilt. Instead of grace, let me rephrase that. Use grace instead of guilt. Okay, once we become aware. Because we're human. We're human. The brain, it does what the brain does because it keeps us safe. But once we're aware and we can shift it, and we use the grace instead of guilt, because I don't, with my clients and, the certification and everything that I'm involved in, with you and outside of your programs, we gotta stop beating ourselves up about this stuff. We waste so much energy beating ourselves up instead of using that as an opportunity to grow. And then reconnecting instead of fixing.
Mm. I love that. I want to get into the ripple effect that has in somebody's life. I know you kind of talked about earlier, it doesn't take any more time, but think about like all that you can do when you're fueled by your why versus when you're not. So I'm curious, what do you see in terms of the ripple effect that happens when you remind yourself and get reconnected to your why?
Everything changes. Your work. You're going to show up at work as your best version. You're going to show up with your family on your A game, right? They notice. Have you ever had your child say, "Hey, what's wrong?" They can sense it. People can sense when we're not, you know what I mean? Like if we're sad or we're down, they can sense it. And they ask, "Hey, how you doing? Something happened at work today?" You know what I mean? Leadership. Oh, that changes. The quietest heartbeat in the room is so impactful, right? And for my listeners, the audience out there, if you're new to Purposeful Living podcast, episode 7, I really dove deep into lead and own it. And it was a fantastic episode about leadership. So go back and watch that. Presence. When we remember our why, we're present. Not because we have to, because we want to. We want to be present. We want to cherish every single moment. Boundaries. We're able to make those decisions about boundaries. Like what matters the most in this moment? What can wait? The energy, fire. Definitely fire. I have like living proof of the fire. And then relationships. I mentioned that before. Whether it be family, at work, in your business, they're just deeper. They're deeper relationships, which is more fulfilling and more purposeful. And it's just beautiful.
Mm. So I want to jump to the why, or not the why, the how here. The how. Because people are going to get here to the end of the episode and they're probably going to be all in. The sound of living in your why and having that energy, being able to get more stuff done in less time and being able to show up as your best self. Now they want to know the how. So what do you want to make sure that they take away from this episode in terms of how they can start doing this or working on it today?
Okay, the first thing is pause. Just take a step back and pause. And don't think about anything in that moment. Just pause. Take a few deep breaths if you have to. Just pause. And then notice. Become aware. And then reflect. And then ask yourself. And I want you guys just to try these, some of these questions on for size and see which one works best for you or which one fits, right? So what matters to me? What feels aligned? What have I been ignoring? What is one small way I can reconnect today? And I would love to hear in the chat, If one of those work for you, and which one?
So, what if there's somebody listening right now and they're thinking about taking one of these sentences, thinking about asking themselves this question? What do you think is the impact that it could have in their life if they're willing to not just ask the question, but find the answer? Because you know that when people are coachable, when they hear a question and they're willing to go in and answer it, that's when the true change happens. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that?
I totally agree. Leaning in and being willing is so important in the growth process. And once you are willing to lean in, it's, how do I want to say this? Growth doesn't happen just in the easy times. I just want to put that out there. It happens in the hard, in the difficult. And Marc can tell you, he's been with me for quite a while. I do hard things because that's what I do. Part of my identity. But you'll get this feeling of, I don't want to say satisfaction. I don't want to say relief. It's just a different kind of feeling that what matters to me, why. This is where we get into the why and how it can drift away if we don't reflect and we don't keep repeating it in our head, because the brain is smart. The brain's always going to try and get us to do other things, right? But you will feel that shift. You will see that shift. And you'll be like, oh my God, yes, this is my why. This is why it matters. You know when you have that feeling and it's like, you want to put it into words, but you just can't. It's one of those kind of feelings. So I can't wait for everybody to experience that.